system. In this session, we will try to understand what is a 2 degree of freedom system, and we will discuss some of the real life system which can be modeled as a 2 degree of freedom system. Then we will see how we develop the equation of motion for a 2 degree of freedom system, and how we calculate the natural frequencies and mode shifts of a 2 degree of freedom system. In the last, we will see the response of a 2 degree of freedom system. So I'll start with a simple real life problem which can be modeled as a 2 degree of freedom system. Here you can see that in this picture we can see an aeroplane, and if someone is interested to study the vibration of the wing of this plane, so what he can do, he can model the wing. Let's see that if I will see the plane from the front, the plane would be seen like that. These are the two wings of the plane, and this is the first engine and this is the second engine. So what someone can do, he can consider that this wing from this point to this point is a cantilevered beam fixed to the fuselage at this point, and he has to consider that the mass of the wing is less compared to the mass of the two engines. So in that fashion, one can model the wing as a cantilevered beam fixed at one end, and the two masses, one corresponding to first engine, second mass is corresponding to second engine, and the wing in between the two engine as well as from the fuselage to the first engine can be considered as a flexible element, and the equation and the direction of the motion for this wing will be the vertical motion. So in this fashion, I can develop a 2 degree of freedom model for the wing of an aeroplane. Similarly, in the second figure, you can see here that there is a bicycle, and someone is interested to study the vibration coming to the rider. So there could be two different approaches. If someone wants to make a simple model, he can go for a single degree of freedom system. In this way, he will consider the stiffness coming from this part, that is the shocker. This is the shocker part, and this is your wheel which is having tire. So one can model that there are two spring members because of these two shocker, and the mass which is coming from because of the rider mass. If someone wants to study that the vibration coming from the ground to the wheel and then from wheel to the rider, so he can go for a 2 degree of freedom system, where he will consider a model where the first will be the mass of the rider, which is connected to the two spring element which is coming from the spring of the shocker. Then he can consider a second mass which is the mass of the wheel. Are you a 2 degree of freedom system? Even we can make the model more complicated by adding more degree of freedom by considering different spring elements between the masses. So now after this, I would consider a very simple case of two masses connected with the three springs, and I will try to develop the equation of motion for this system. You can see here that in this system we are having two masses M1 and M2 and three springs K1, K2 and K3. So it is an undamped 2 degree of freedom system. I have not considered any damping, therefore I am taking it as an undamped system. And now if I will consider that these two masses can move on in this direction, as the coordinate x1 and x2 represent motion of these two masses. So first I will make the free body diagram of these two masses. For the first mass, the mass is moving in this direction with the acceleration x1 double dot, and this mass is moving in this direction with the acceleration x2 double dot. So if I will apply the D'Alembert principle for these two free body diagrams, I will get for the first mass my acceleration will be m1 x1 double. This is my inertial forces, and that will be balanced by all the forces applying on the system. So please understand that I am using the D'Alembert principle, which states that the inertial force should be equal to the external forces, but you should keep in your mind that when you are summing up the external forces, you should take the proper sign. For example, if the direction of the acceleration is along positive x direction, and all the forces which are acting in positive x direction will be considered positive, and all the forces acting in negative x direction will be considered negative. So here we can see that the mass is moving in this direction and these two forces are acting in the opposite direction. So in my equation I am taking the left hand term as the inertial forces, and in the right hand term I am taking these two forces. One is the k1 x1 and second one is the k2 x1 minus x2, but with the negative sign, because these two forces are acting in the opposite direction. Similarly, for the second mass is moving in right direction and these two forces are acting in the left direction. So I have taken these two forces as with the negative sign. So now I am having these two equations for the two masses. If I will rearrange these two equations, I can get the another form of equation where I am having x1 as a quantity. Okay, first I am rearranging this equation, so we can see that this is the, I am taking these two on the left hand side, and now my equations are can be considered as a homogeneous equation. When I will rearrange these two equations, I can convert this equation in this form, which I can later on can be converted in the form of a matrix. So you can see here that I have considered the mass m1 and m2 in one matrix. This x1 double dot and x2 double dot is an acceleration vector. This is my all the stiffness terms, and this is my displacement term. So this is a standard approach to write the equation of motion in the matrix form, and it can also be write that the mass matrix with a acceleration vector plus the stiffness matrix with a displacement vector. So now, after getting the equation of motion for the system, the next step is to put a general solution into the equation. Since this is a second order differential equation, so we can use a general solution to solve the equation, and I am taking an harmonic solution here, so I can put the general solution for the two displacement as my first solution will be the x1 e to the power I omega t, where x1 is a constant and e to the power I omega t is a time variable function, and I am taking the real part of it. Instead of this, I can also use the e to the power I omega t plus 5 if I want to consider the phase, or I can also use this form, that x1 cos omega t plus 5. Similarly, for the second mass, I can consider a solution that is x2 cos omega t plus 5. Please understand that I am taking a general solution for mass 1 as well as for mass 2, and I am taking two different amplitude, but the frequency of the oscillation as well as the phase are same. Because please understand, if I am having a system with the two masses, so at any instant of time the frequency of the two masses will be same, and since there is no damping, the phase of the two masses will also be same. So when I will put this general solution back to my governing equation, I will get this expression, because the x double dot, if I will differentiate this equation two times or this equation this time, I will get that the x double dot will be x1, and differentiation of this equation two times will give me omega square. So these two terms will become again the x1. So in that fashion, when I will put this general solution into my governing equation, I will get this expression where I am having minus m1 omega square x1 k1 k2 x1, and I am taking out this cos omega t plus 5 from this expression. Similarly, for the second mass, I will get this equation. So finally, when I will rearrange the equation and I will take out the x1 and x2 common, I will get these two equations. M1 omega square plus k1 plus k2 x1 minus x2 k2 x2. These two equations can further rearrange to form a matrix, and the equation will become that one of the matrix will be combination of all these four coefficient, and the x1 and x2 will coming out. So this is one of the general form which is frequently used to solve a 2 degree of freedom system. This general form of the equation is known as the characteristic equation, or also known as the frequency equation or auxiliary equation. And now we can see here that the equation is having two parts. One is in the form of a matrix, second one in the form of a vector. And if I want to see that whether this term will be 0 or this term will be 0, if I am taking that if the x1 and x2 are 0, then that means this is a trivial solution and system is not having any vibration. If I am taking x1 and x2 is equal to 0, so that will not serve my purpose. And the otherwise I have to consider that the determinant of this matrix should be 0. So I will take the determinant of this matrix is 0, and when I will try to solve this determinant, I am getting an equation which will be in terms of omega to the power 4 and all other terms. So I will get a quadratic equation in terms of omega square, and when I will solve that quadratic equation, I will get the two roots of that matrix, which will be represented by omega 1 square and omega 2 square. And when I will put back this omega value into my governing equation in this fashion, when I will put my m1 omega 1 square, I will get one value of x1 and x2, and similarly when I will put back the omega 2 square into my governing equation, I will get a second value of x1 by x2. This x1 by x2 is known as the mode shape. It will be my first mode shape and this will be my second mode shape. So we will understand it more deeply when we will take when we will take an example. So now at this point you please understand that now my system is having two roots, which are the two natural frequency of the system, and I am having two different configuration corresponding to two different natural frequencies. What does it physically indicate? It physically says that if I am having a system with the two masses connected with the three springs, if my system is vibrating with the omega 1 frequency, the two masses will move in particular fashion, and the other configuration which I can get from this system is that the two masses will move in the opposite direction. So at max, from this two masses system I can get these two different configuration, or otherwise I'll get a combination of these two configuration. So these two particular combination which are unique for a particular set of frequency are known as the mode shapes. And now further we will see an example and try to understand all these things within simple. There will not be any force on the other side. When I will apply the D'Alembert principle and I will write the equation of motion, I will get m1 x1 double dot plus k1 plus k2 x1 minus k2 x2 is equal to 0. It is corresponding to the first mass, and similarly I will get the second equation, that will be m2 x2 double dot minus k2 x1 plus k2 x2 is equal to 0. Now to move further, I have to use a generalized solution for the two displacement, and here I have considered harmonic solution for both the masses. For the first mass it is x1 cos omega t, for the second mass x2 cos omega t. x1 and x2 are the two constant and basically indicating the magnitude of the vibration. Omega representing the frequency of oscillation. Please understand that I have considered the frequency same for both the masses. So now when I will put this general solution into my governing equation, my equation will further simplify with this expression that minus m1 omega square capital X1 plus k1 plus k2 capital X1 minus k2 x2 is equal to 0, because when I will put the x value into these two equations, the cos theta term will be eliminated and I will get the first equation without the cos omega t term. Similarly, I will get the second equation, and when I will rearrange all these terms, I will get a matrix form of these two equations, where the first term is minus m1 omega square plus k1 plus k2 minus k2 and minus m2 omega square plus k2. Second, I am having a displacement vector denoted by capital X1 and capital X2. Now this is my characteristic equation, and I know that I can get a trivial solution by assuming that X1 9. These two roots are nothing but the two natural frequency of my system, and when I will take the square root, I am getting that the first natural frequency is 8.63 radian per second and the second natural frequency is 16.72 radian per second. After getting the two natural frequencies, the next job will be to put these two natural frequency into back to the governing equation and try to find out the value of x1 and x2. So here I am having two governing equation. So now the question arises that whether I should put the omega value in the first equation or in the second equation. But let me tell you that both the equation will give the same result, and we can check here. So for checking, I am putting the omega 1 value into my first equation and I am getting this expression, and when I am solving this expression, I am getting a ratio x2 by x1 is equal to 1.8. Similarly, when I am putting the omega 1 value into my second governing equation, this is represented by this equation, and again I am getting the same ratio x2 by x1 is equal to 1.8. So now we can see that either we will put the value in first or second equation, we are getting the same expression for x2 by x1, and this x2 by x1 just represent the motion of the two masses when the system is vibrating with frequency omega 1. We call it this is the normal mode or the pattern of vibration of our system, and it indicates that if the first mass is moving with an amplitude 1, the second mass will move with an amplitude 1.8 times of the first mass. So please keep it in mind that these two values are not the absolute value, but we are getting the relative value. Similarly, when I will put the second natural frequency into any of these governing equation, I will get a ratio x2 by x1 is equal to minus 1.47. Here, minus sign indicates that if my first mass is moving with an amplitude 1, the second mass will move with an amplitude 1.47 but in opposite direction. And this is my second normal mode. After getting the two normal modes, the next job is to find the actual response of your system, and for that purpose, we have to understand that if the body or if the system is moving with the first natural frequency, the system will behave with a unique solution that indicate that if the first mass will move 1 unit and the second mass will move 1.8 unit and both the masses will move in the same direction. If the system is moving with the second natural frequency, the unique solution will be that the first mass will move with the 1 unit and the second mass will move with the 1.47 times of that, the displacement of first mass, but in the opposite direction. Now if I am having any arbitrary excitation to my system, for example that if this is my system and I am giving an initial displacement x2 naught to my second mass, then what will happen? In such case, your response will be the contribution of both the masses, both the modes, and that's I am representing that the x1, this is the contribution from the first mode and this is the contribution by the second mode. Similarly, the response of the second mass will be the contribution of x2 for the first mode and x2 for the second mode. When I will put the solution, or I will extend this equation, I will see that the x1 cos omega t plus phi 1 and x1 for the second mode cos omega 2t plus phi 2, where omega 1 is the first natural frequency, omega 2 is the second natural frequency, phi 1 and phi 2 basically representing the ratio or the contribution. Similarly, for the second case, I am having x2 for the first mode cos omega 1t plus phi 1 and x2 for the second mode cos omega 2t plus phi 2. When I will rearrange this equation, I am getting that the x1 will be x1 cos term plus x1 for the second mode cos term, and now what I am doing, I am replacing this x2 value or the magnitude of the second mode with the calculated mode shape corresponding to the first mode as well as for the second mode. For example, if I am taking the ratio is R1, my x2 will be for the first mode will be R1 times of x1 for the first mode. Similarly, here I am getting that x2 will be for the second mode will be R2 times of x1 of second mode. So by putting these two values or replacing that x2 for the first mode and x2 by the second mode, I am having these two equations, and in this equation I can see that there are four unknowns: 1, 2, 3 and 4. Remaining terms as omega 1 and omega 2 I have already calculated. What R1 and R2 is already calculated. These two are nothing but the ratio of the two displacement corresponding to the two different normal modes. So after getting this equation, that is x1 and x2, when I will put the R1 value and the R2 value into these two equations, and I will solve the 4 equation by taking some initial value, I will get my solution. Here I am considering that if this is my system where masses are 8 kg and 3 kg, these are the 1000 Newton per meter and 500 Newton per meter are my stiffness, and I am assuming an initial condition that my first mass having 0 displacement, but it is having a velocity of magnitude 1 at initial time t is equal to 0. For the second mass, no displacement and no velocity. So now when I will use the first equation and I will put t is equal to 0, it will be 0. Here t will be 0, so cos phi 1 and cos phi 2 and my x1 for the first mode and x1 for the second mode. This will be my equation. When I will put the second value into my second equation, I am getting this expression that no displacement, R1 x1 cos phi 1 and R2 x1 for the second mode cos phi 2. Similarly, when I will differentiate these two equations and I will put the two velocity value, I am getting this expression that for the first mass my velocity is 1. After differentiating, I am getting at a minus x1 for the first mode omega 1 sin phi 1 minus x1 for the second mode omega 2 sin phi 2, and the fourth equation which is corresponding to the second mass 0 velocity, I am getting this expression. So now I am having 4 equation 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 4 unknown as first mode x1, second mode x1, phi 1 and phi 2. So when I will solve the first two equation, I am getting a value that my phi 1 and phi 2 both will be of pi by 2 magnitude, and when I will put this pi by 2 magnitude of phi 1 and phi 2 in my equation 3 and 4, I am getting these two equation, and by solving these two equation I am getting a value x1 for the first mode is minus 0.052 and second mode minus 0.033. So now when I will put these two values as well as these two phi's into my actual two governing equation, I am getting this expression which is representing the response of the two masses and for the different time instant, and this t value is nothing but when I will put a value of, let's I want to find the response of the system for t is equal to 0.2 second, I can put t is equal to 0.2 in this equation and I will get a magnitude of x1 as well as I will get a magnitude for x2, and